Ciao culinary geeks! Today we're gonna talk about the top 11 mistakes to avoid when cooking with an air fryer. Let's check this out. Mistake number 1 starts with the selection of your air fryer. Avoid to buy the cheapest and the smallest air fryer out there. Two of my favorite brands, Cosori and Philips air fryer, they've been out there for a long time. They are very good machines. I have a bunch of reviews, I have a bunch of comparisons on my channel that you can check later. I strongly recommend to go with the Cosori air fryer. If you have smaller budget, it's a big, compact air fryer, can serve up to 4 to 5 people easily. And then the Philips air fryer. In my case, I have the smaller version, ideal for 2 people like my wife and I. If you want the bigger version, this is the XXL. The Philips air fryer is a little bit more expensive. I have done also comparison between the two. Sometimes I prefer the Philips air fryer with like French fries and other recipes, but they are both absolutely amazing. You want to buy the largest that you can because it's a very compact appliance and the space for cooking is reduced. So if you have especially larger family, go with the largest basket possible. Now we're gonna talk about the other 10 mistakes and I'm gonna split those mistakes in 3 key moments. The first one is before air frying, the second part will be during air frying, and the third part will be after the air frying. So there are mistakes in those 3 key moments. The mistake number 2 is to not preheating your air fryer. I know that Philips air fryer came out with technology that claims that you don't need preheating time, but I will strongly encourage you to always do some preheating. At least 5 minutes, 10 minutes better, always at the temperature that you intend to cook your food with. So if it's 300 degree Fahrenheit, 10 minutes, go there. While you're prepping your food, there is nothing wrong and the results are way better. Third mistakes that you should avoid is to consider your appliance, your air fryer, exactly the same as a conventional oven or even a deep fryer. Obviously it's not a deep fryer because you're not using a large quantity of oil to deep fry your food, but it's also not an oven. It's in principle works as like a conventional oven, so it has an heating element and a fan, but you have to take in consideration that this is a very small appliance, very compact, and the airflow is much faster than any oven that you might have. So there is no comparison with the oven. You cannot do a one-on-one recipe conversion between a traditional recipe that goes into the oven, suggested temperature and time into the oven, and the air fryer. You have to test it out. Usually you have to consider about 20% less timing and 20% less temperature, but again, I would strongly recommend to test every time. Mistake number 4 to avoid is to not apply any oil. We consider air frying, so we don't need oil. Actually, we need to apply a little bit of oil in the basket, a little bit of oil with your food in order to get the best results out there. Now, the selection of oil is entirely up to you. I use extra virgin high quality olive oil. And please, do not comment every time that this doesn't have a good smoke point and also is not healthy. And high quality extra virgin olive oil goes over 400 degrees Fahrenheit in terms of smoke point. There are a lot of articles and research out there. It's my favorite oil, is the best oil for me to use. I love the taste because I'm Italian and we use a lot of extra virgin olive oil. Consider that your food will never reach 400 degrees or over, so it's perfectly safe. There are other oils that you can use. You can use, for example, avocado oil. This is considered healthy. You can use whatever you want. Now, when you apply oil, you have to be a little bit careful. You can apply oil with your brush, for example. You can apply oil by putting a bit on a napkin and then pass on the basket, or you can use a sprayer like this. I bought this oil some time ago. It came up with this glass bottle with the sprayer on top. It's great for me, it works. I can just refill it, cost me $0. That's amazing. There are a bunch of like sprayer stuff out there that you can check that out. You can use can. Now, I want to bust this myth. There are sprayer in can that do not contain any chemical, do not contain any propellant. You can use that. You won't ruin the basket of your air fryer. So just check the ingredient. At Whole Foods, for example, the only ingredient that can is extra virgin olive oil, so you can use it. Mistake number 5 that you should absolutely avoid is to overcrowd your basket. Now, as soon as you buy an air fryer, you think that it's okay to put a lot of French fries, to put a lot of food in it. Unfortunately, you can't. That's why I recommend at the beginning to buy the largest basket possible, because you actually need to account that the air has to flow in between your food in order to get a consistent and a better results and to avoid the soggy results, which is the worst. So always consider that the food needs a little bit more space. You can account for some shrinkage of the food, but always avoid to overcrowd your basket. Okay, those were the main mistakes to avoid before air frying. During the cooking time, one thing is, it's very easy to cook with an air fryer, but still it needs some attention. So the first mistake that I see a lot, which is our number 6 total, is set it and forget it. That's not how a fryer works. Halfway through, I strongly recommend to give it a shake to the basket or flip it over. Your food is like also larger, like bigger pieces. It's easier just to use tongs and flip it over and put it back. There are some air fryer like the Cosor air fryer that gives a beep, so like, you know, tells you that it's time to flip it over. If your air fryer doesn't have this function, you can use half of the time that you are planning to. So you stop literally the cooking, so that reminds you that you have to flip it over, and then you can cook for the same time if you cook the first part. Mistakes number 7 is to consider a recipe as it is, just follow through without checking your temperature of your food, for example. So especially when you cook meat, and I have a bunch of video when I cooked meat, you need to check the temperature of your steak. You need to check the temperature of your chicken. Now with chicken, it's easier if you want to just cut to see if it's not pink, it's good. But in order to have control over your cooking, you should check your temperature. In order to do so, there are instant reading thermometers out there. You can buy on Amazon, there are a bunch of those. I love the smoke that I use. I've been using for barbecuing and for everything else. So when you're frying, check the temperature of your meat in order to get the best results. Mistake number 8 to avoid is to treat very fatty food as the rest of other foods. Now, very fatty food can cause a lot of smoke. In my video about the air fryer bacon, I showed to you exactly how to treat bacon, very fatty food, inside the air fryer. It's just to add a little bit of water inside the basket before starting your cooking time. So the dripping of the fat, it won't burn and won't cause a lot of smoke. Easy. Mistake number 9 to avoid is to consider that the temperature has to be constant because we want, once again, set and forget. The best recipe out there, most of the time, recommend you to cook different temperature at different timing. My French fries are one of the example. We want to start a little bit lower, 380 degrees Fahrenheit for 7, 8, 9 minutes in order to cook the inside and to get a uniform cooking. And then we want to raise the temperature 400 for finishing off your food. So constant temperature, it's great because, okay, we set to forget it, but once again, we need a little bit of work in order to get the best out of your air frying. This is for during the cooking process. After, when we finally finish and we get our final results, so the mistake that we want to avoid is just to eat as it is. So we consider air frying always as something that is to be super quick. But the best way, the best results sometimes require a little bit more time. So as a mistake number 10 to avoid is to not finishing your food. You can finish your food by, for example, adding the last spray of oil at the end for a finishing touch and for giving even more the sensation that kind of like is fried but it's not. Or let it rest your food in order to get better results, as we do for steak, as we do for other food that we cook normally in other appliances. And my last but not least mistake to avoid is to not cleaning your air fryer every time for each use. Much faster, better if you easily clean your air fryer every time after every cook. So very easy. I recommend to open your basket, place your basket in soapy warm water, let it rest for 30 minutes, and then scrub the surface of inside your basket. It's pretty easy, it's pretty straightforward, save time in the long run, and also will avoid you to get very funny taste sometimes when you cook multiple food that you forget. And the more you forget, the more the residue will get stuck on your basket, and in order to scrub it, you will tend to ruin the coating, the non-stick coating of your precious basket. My recommendation is to avoid to use the dishwasher. First, the baskets are really large, it will take a lot of space inside your dishwasher. But second, usually whatever is Teflon coated or non-stick coating, even for pans and others, I feel like they last much longer if we don't put it in the dishwasher. Alright, and just finished to share my last mistake to avoid when you cook with an air fryer. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up or subscribe to my channel if you want to see more fryer recipes, tips and tricks to get the best out of your fryer, or if I simply decide if it is worth or not buying a fryer. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next.